Smallpox, a microscopic invader that for centuries wouldn't just take lives, but erase entire communities. A virus that wasn't just a biological threat, but one that was used to spread a devastating plague to a nation with no natural immunity to European diseases. High fever, debilitating body aches, and a telltale rash covering the body and painful sores, with many cases leading to blindness and death. The late 18th century would see the introduction of vaccinations, but with no cure, the only answer was for the sick to face exile, quarantine, and death within local pest houses. And in 1788, the town of North Brookfield would send a sick man to spend his final days within a cave. Hey everyone, today I'm in the forest of North Brookfield, Massachusetts, searching for a cave that was said to be once used as a makeshift sick house for the town in the late 18th century. With diseases like smallpox running rampant across the country in the 18th century, many towns would begin to establish pest houses, isolated shelters for the sick, built far away from the public to contain the spread of the illness. For many, entering one of these sick houses meant never returning to society. It was while researching local towns that I would discover the story of North Brookfield's smallpox den, a small cave hidden in the woods that had been used to house a single person infected with smallpox in 1788. A map on the town's website shows the general area where the cave should be located, so I set out in search of the spot where a man would face the deadly disease in solitude. There's still a good amount of snow on the ground out here in the woods, but luckily it's about 65 degrees today, so a lot of it should melt. Trying to make things a little easier on me by following this deer trail downhill. It's just scat everywhere. Alright, here's the stream, so I should be getting close. Little did I know I was still about a half-mile away from my destination, with the map showing the caves in the wrong area. Using a second map, I would come back several days later, this time finding what I was looking for. Well, it took me a couple tries coming out here, but I think I finally found it. Here, take a look at this. This is North Brookfield's Smallpox Den, a small overhanging cave which, as legend states, was once used for a man by the name of Israel Allen. As legend states, Israel would contract smallpox around 1788. To protect the community from a deadly outbreak, the town was said to have voted for his quarantine in the woods outside of town. It's said that Israel would use this locally known cave for shelter, attempting to face the disease alone. But as the symptoms progressed, isolation would become a desperate struggle for survival. It's said that Israel would spend his final days etching an inscription into the walls of the cave, with locals reportedly afraid to approach the area of the forest where his chisel could be heard. The message he carved was short and simple, but is still legible almost 240 years later. I had the smallpox, April 19th, 1788. I, Allen. Read these lines and ponder. Israel's body is said to have been discovered sometime later, making this cave with his inscription an unintended gravestone. But this is where legend and fact seems to diverge, as evidence seems to point towards Israel not only surviving his bout with the deadly disease, but living for another 45 years, dying at the ripe old age of 88. I would begin questioning the authenticity of this story when looking into the history of smallpox within the town, where a small section reveals that the same area with the cave was later used for other patients who had contracted the disease to spend their free time during the day. But it was trying to find the final resting place of Israel Allen that would lead me to a nearby cemetery and possibly the answers I was looking for. Just a short distance away in Spencer, Massachusetts is this grave that belongs to one Israel Allen, a private from the Revolutionary War who lived from 1745 until 1833. Town records for North Brookfield show that Israel had indeed fought in the Revolutionary War, joining in at the Battle of Bunker Hill, as well as indicating that he may have moved to the town of Spencer later in his life. Add to this, records also show that both Israel and the man in this grave were born in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts in the early 18th century, pointing to them both being the same man. While the Smallpox caves of North Brookfield may hold the legends, this ground holds the man. It seems that Israel Allen didn't meet his end in those dark caves, but rather here after a long life. See you guys next time.